The celestial challenge Orion Frost stood at the viewport of his modest exploration vessel, the Wanderlust, gazing at the crystalline planet of Lumina. Its atmosphere shimmered with iridescent particles, giving the world an ethereal glow against the backdrop of twin purple suns. His heart hammered in his chest, part excitement, part terror at what he was about to undertake. Final approach to Lumina spaceport, chimed the ship's AI. Diplomatic clearance verified. Orion adjusted his worn explorer's jacket, a relic of his expeditions across the Milky Way. At 32, he had mapped uncharted worlds and survived. Encounters with cosmic anomalies, but nothing compared to the challenge ahead. The celestial trial of Princess Asteria had claimed the lives of 1,000 suitors from the most advanced civilizations. Yet here he was, a mere human, volunteering. The crystalline spires of the capital city came into view, structures that seemed to defy gravity, their surfaces refracting light in hypnotic patterns. Landing pads floated in midair, tethered to the ground by beams of pure energy. As the Wanderlust touched down, Orion spotted the delegation waiting for him. Tall, luminescent beings with skin that held the depth of galaxies. Human Orion Frost, announced a dignified figure as the airlock opened. I am Sentinel Thandros. Your request has caused quite the commotion in the High Council. Thandros's voice held a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Behind him, other Luminans whispered among themselves, their expressions ranging from amusement to disgust. I appreciate the audience, Sentinel, Orion replied, standing straight. I understand the skepticism. Skepticism? Thandros emitted a sound like chiming crystal. Laughter. The trial has claimed beings who could bend reality with thought alone. The Chrysorn Prince of the 7th dimension disintegrated at the 3rd challenge. What could a human possibly offer? Orion had no grand answer, only truth. Something different. Perhaps the journey to the palace was a parade of whispers and stares. The Luminan capital was a marvel of living architecture. Buildings that grew and shifted like sentient coral. Streets paved with material that responded to footsteps with harmonic tones. Under different circumstances, Orion would have been mesmerized by the scientific wonders around him. The royal court awaited in a grand hall whose ceiling mimicked the cosmos itself. At its center, seated on a throne of compressed starlight, was Princess Asteria. Orion's breath caught. The stories hadn't exaggerated. Her form was both solid and ethereal, as if she existed partly in another dimension. Her eyes held the depth of ancient nebulae, and when she moved, cosmic dust trailed in her wake. The human approaches, announced a court herald, with enough volume to ensure everyone present heard the absurdity of the situation. Princess Asteria studied Orion with ageless eyes. You have traveled far to die, human. I've traveled far to try, Orion corrected gently. With respect, Your Highness. A murmur rippled through the court. No one corrected the princess. You know the purpose of the trial? She asked. To find one worthy to stand beside you in union, Orion replied. A partner whose strength, wisdom, and heart matches the legacy of Lumina. Asteria floated down from her throne, approaching until she was close enough that Orion could see the universe moving within her eyes. And you believe yourself worthy? I believe in attempting the impossible, he said. Your trial has tested physical might, intellectual prowess, and species-specific advantages. Perhaps it hasn't yet tested human ingenuity and perspective. Asteria's expression remained unreadable, but something flickered in those cosmic eyes. The trial begins at dawn, she said finally. You will face challenges designed for beings far beyond your capabilities. No accommodations will be made. Orion bowed. I understand. As the court dispersed, Thandros approached again. I've been instructed to show you to your chambers. Rest well, human. It will be your last night alive. Orion followed, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes on his back. Tomorrow he would begin a trial that no one, not even he, believed a human could survive. But as he glanced back at Princess Asteria, her gaze still following him, he wondered if perhaps that was exactly why he had to try. Riddles of stardust dawn on Lumina wasn't the gradual lightening of a horizon, but a sudden flaring of both suns simultaneously, bathing the crystalline world in vibrant magenta. Orion was already awake, having spent the night studying what little information existed about the trial. The chamber they'd provided him, clearly never intended for human habitation, adjusted its atmosphere constantly, as if struggling to accommodate his alien biology. "The first phase begins," announced Sentinel Thandros from the doorway. "Follow." The Sentinel led Orion through corridors that seemed to rearrange themselves, eventually emerging onto a vast platform suspended above an endless drop. A crowd had gathered, Luminans and representatives from other advanced species, all eager to witness the humans' inevitable failure. Princess Asteria appeared in a cascade of stardust, her presence causing the platform to pulse with energy. "The trial of mind begins," she announced, her voice resonating on multiple frequencies. "Enter the cosmic labyrinth and find the heart of knowledge. You have until the convergence of the twin suns." The air before Orion shimmered and tore open, revealing a swirling portal of mathematical equations and quantum possibilities. "Most challengers take approximately 3 minutes to perish in the labyrinth," Thandros noted casually. "The record is 17 minutes held by the hive mind consciousness of Tau Ceti." Orion stepped forward without hesitation. "See you at convergence," he said, and walked into the portal. The world inside defied description. Pathways of pure thought crisscrossed a void where physics seemed optional. Symbols from 1,000 alien languages floated past, rearranging themselves constantly. The entire structure shifted dimensionally, corridors becoming ceilings, becoming floors. "Interesting approach," came Asteria's voice, though she wasn't physically present. "Most begin by analyzing the pattern matrix." "I assume that's what they all tried before," Orion replied, continuing forward. "I'm trying something different." Instead of attempting to decode the labyrinth's logic, Orion observed its behavior. The pathways weren't random. They responded to his attention, shifting away from direct observation but stabilizing in his peripheral vision. It was a test of perception, not logic. Orion closed his eyes and walked forward confidently. The pathways solidified beneath his feet. "Unconventional," Asteria's voice commented. "But the second chamber won't yield to such tricks." Orion opened his eyes to find himself in a spherical room filled with floating crystals, each containing what appeared to be a memory. Touching one, he witnessed the birth of a star from the perspective of the cosmic dust that formed it. "Find the false memory," instructed a disembodied voice. There were thousands of crystals, each containing eons of cosmic history. Examining each would take lifetimes. Orion considered the challenge carefully. "What makes a memory false?" he asked, aloud. "Perspective, inaccuracy, or intent?" He circled the chamber, observing patterns. The crystals were arranged in subtle constellations, telling a cohesive story of universal creation and evolution. One cluster, however, seemed disconnected from the narrative flow. Approaching it, Orion found memories of technological civilizations rising and falling. Among them was a crystal showing humans, not as they were, but as the Luminans perceived them. Primitive, violent, limited. "This one," Orion said, touching the crystal. "This memory is false not in content but in completeness. It shows only what you expect to see, not the full truth." The crystal shattered, revealing a doorway to the next chamber. 7 more challenges followed. Riddles of quantum entanglement, puzzles of gravitational dynamics, tests of pattern recognition that spanned 11 dimensions. For each, Orion approached with human intuition rather than alien logic, finding solutions where others had sought perfection. In the final chamber, he faced a wall of impossible mathematics, equations that described the universe itself. "Complete the formula," Asteria's voice commanded. "Find the universal constant that binds all existence." Orion studied the wall. The greatest minds in the galaxy had failed here, attempting to solve the unsolvable. The equation needed something beyond numbers. The constant isn't mathematical, Orion said finally. It's perspective. The universe exists because it's observed. He placed his hand on the blank space in the equation. The wall dissolved, revealing the heart of knowledge, a crystal that contained a perspective of the universe from outside itself. As Orion reached for it, the labyrinth dissolved around him. He found himself back on the platform, the twin suns just beginning their convergence. The crowd stood in stunned silence. "Impossible," whispered Thandros. Princess Asteria's expression remained unreadable, but Orion detected a new curiosity in her cosmic gaze. "The trial of mind is complete," she announced. "The human proceeds to the trial of body." As murmurs spread through the crowd, Orion caught a glimpse of something unexpected on Asteria's face, the faintest hint of a smile. The void's embrace. The second trial began without ceremony. While the Luminan spectators still whispered about the impossible success of a human in the cosmic labyrinth, Sentinel Thandros led Orion to a different platform, this one situated at the edge of the atmosphere, where Lumina's protective shields met the harshness of space. "The trial of body," Princess Asteria announced, materializing beside them. Today her form seemed more solid, less ethereal, though the cosmic dust still swirled within her translucent skin. "Here your physical limitations will be tested beyond what any human frame should endure." Orion nodded, his expression calm despite the flutter of anxiety in his chest. The stories of this particular trial were especially grim. Beings with exoskeletons of living metal had been crushed. Species that could survive in the vacuum of space had suffocated. 3 challenges await, Asteria continued. Survive them all and you may proceed. The platform beneath Orion suddenly vanished. He plummeted through the atmosphere, the wind screaming past his ears as Lumina's surface rushed toward him. Other suitors had flight capabilities or telekinetic powers to save themselves. He had only human reflexes and the equipment he'd brought. He reached for the small device at his belt, activating the experimental gravity modulator he'd traded 3 years of survey data to acquire. The device whined, struggling against Lumina's unique gravitational field, but managed to slow his descent enough that when he hit the crystalline surface, he rolled with the impact rather than shattering on contact. Pain lanced through his shoulder, but nothing felt broken. Orion struggled to his feet as a rumbling began beneath him. The crystal ground transformed into a sea of shifting, razor-sharp formations. What had been flat terrain became a churning expanse of blades, each movement threatening to slice through his exploration suit. Orion spotted a distant platform, the only stable ground in the deadly field. Studying the pattern of the crystal movements, Orion timed his steps, using his modulator to make short, controlled jumps between safe spots. The crystals responded to his presence, becoming more aggressive where he landed. Twice, edges sliced through his suit, drawing blood from his calf and arm. By the time he reached the platform, his body was a map of cuts and bruises, but he remained standing. Looking up, he saw Princess Asteria watching from above, her expression unreadable. "The human bleeds yet continues," she observed. "Interesting." The platform rose suddenly into the air, carrying Orion beyond the atmosphere and into the void of space. The protective bubble of Lumina's shields fell away, exposing him to the raw cosmos. His suit's emergency shield activated, but it wouldn't last long against such conditions. A field of debris from ancient stellar battles surrounded him, twisted metal, crystal shards, and dark matter fragments that bent light around them. Through this deadly obstacle course, a distant portal shimmered, the exit from this trial. Navigate the field of fallen stars. Asteria's voice echoed in his mind. Many have tried. All have failed. Orion assessed his dwindling oxygen and the failing shield. Direct passage would be suicide. The debris would tear through his protection in seconds. Looking closer, he noticed something the others might have missed. The debris wasn't random. It orbited in patterns, creating momentary corridors that opened and closed in rhythmic sequences. Rather than forcing his way through, Orion observed the flow, then used his modulator to time a series of controlled drifts, moving with the debris rather than against it. A massive shard of dark crystal nearly impaled him midway through. Orion twisted, the edge grazing his side and tearing through his suit. Warning alarms blared as his oxygen began to vent into space. With no time to repair it, he increased his pace, lungs burning as he held his breath for precious seconds at a time. Vision darkening at the edges, Orion made a final push toward the portal, using the last energy in his modulator to propel himself forward as a corridor momentarily opened. He tumbled through the threshold, crashing onto solid ground as atmosphere rushed back around him. Gasping, blood seeping through tears in his suit, Orion found himself in a chamber of pure energy. The walls pulsed with power that would incinerate organic matter on contact. At the center floated a crystal similar to the Heart of Knowledge, but this one radiated physical power. The Heart of Strength, Asteria said, now physically present in the chamber, protected by her natural cosmic aura. Take it, and the trial of body ends. Orion studied the gap between the edge of the room and the heart. 20 feet of lethal energy stood between him and success. Even at full strength, he couldn't leap that distance. Drawing on his last reserves, Orion removed his damaged helmet and unwound the specialized carbon fiber cable from his belt. Fashioning a makeshift grappling hook from components of his modulator, he calculated the angle, then threw with perfect precision. The hook wrapped around the crystal's base. Orion pulled it tight, then used the momentum to swing himself across the gap, his body skimming just inches above the deadly energy floor. His hand closed around the Heart of Strength as he landed hard on the opposite side of the chamber. The energy walls dissipated. Orion stood, battered and bleeding, the crystal glowing in his palm. Princess Asteria approached, for the first time showing genuine surprise. "You solved each challenge differently than intended," she said. The field. A Fallen Stars was meant to test invulnerability, not navigation. Orion managed to smile despite his injuries. Humans don't have the luxury of invulnerability. We survive by adaptation. Asteria studied him with new interest. Your body is damaged, yet you completed the trial. No other has accomplished this. Through, what would you call it? Ingenuity, Orion replied, and perhaps a bit of stubbornness. For the first time, Princess Asteria's laugh rang out, a sound like distant nebulae singing. Rest, human. The trial of heart awaits tomorrow, and none have ever reached it before. As medical attendants rushed to treat his wounds, Orion caught the reactions of the watching crowd. Disbelief had given way to something new in their alien expressions: respect. Echoes of compassion. The healing chambers of Lumina worked wonders beyond human medicine. By morning, Orion's wounds had closed, leaving only faint silver lines where deep gashes had been. The Luminan healers, initially reluctant to touch a human, now studied him with professional curiosity. Your cellular regeneration is primitive but effective, observed the chief healer, Janara. Her fingers, translucent like the rest of her kind but glowing with medical knowledge, hovered over Orion's healed shoulder. Most fascinating is your body's memory of injury. These scars tell stories. That's very human, Orion replied with a small smile. We carry our histories on our skin. Janara tilted her head, a gesture she'd adopted to communicate with the human. The trial of heart has no physical component, yet it has broken the strongest minds we've encountered. Princess Asteria awaits in the Chamber of Echoes. The Chamber of Echoes was unlike anything Orion had seen on Lumina. While the rest of the civilization embraced crystalline perfection, this ancient room was carved from something resembling wood, though it pulsed with faint bioluminescence. The circular walls were lined with alcoves containing artifacts from across the galaxy, remnants of civilizations long extinct. Princess Asteria stood at the center, her form more solid than Orion had yet seen her. Today, she appeared almost human in solidity, though the cosmos still swirled beneath her skin. The trial of heart tests neither intelligence nor physical prowess, she explained as Orion entered. It examines something our scholars have struggled to quantify in other species, what your kind might call empathy, ethics, or moral courage. The room darkened until only Asteria's natural glow provided illumination. Many believe these qualities to be weaknesses. They are mistaken. The wooden walls began to shift, revealing moving images, not projections or technology, but something more organic, as if the chamber itself held memories. You will face 4 moral dilemmas, Asteria continued. Not simulations, but echoes of real choices made by real beings. You will experience them as if they were your own decisions. Before Orion could respond, the chamber dissolved around him. He found himself on a dying planet, inhabiting the body of a scientist. Through borrowed memories, he understood immediately. This world had hours before catastrophic collapse. His team had developed an evacuation solution, but the ships could only save 30% of the population. As acting director, he had to decide: evacuate the intellectual elite to preserve the civilization's knowledge, the youngest to ensure the species' future, or use random selection to give everyone equal chance at survival. The pressure of billions of lives weighed on him as advisors argued for each approach. Orion felt the scientist's conflict as if it were his own, the crushing responsibility of playing God. After careful consideration, Orion as scientist made his choice. We divide the ships equally. 1/3 for essential knowledge keepers, 1/3 for children and caregivers, and 1/3 by random lottery. Every group deserves chance at survival, and we need both knowledge and innocence to rebuild. The scene dissolved. Orion found himself back in the Chamber of Echoes, facing Asteria. Interesting, she said. The original decision-maker chose to save only the intellectual elite. Their civilization survived but never recovered its spirit. Before Orion could respond, he was thrust into the second scenario, now inhabiting the consciousness of a cosmic explorer who discovered a primitive species on the verge of a technological breakthrough, with the power to either accelerate their development or let them evolve naturally. Orion felt the explorer's temptation to play benefactor. Understanding the potential consequences of interference, Orion as explorer chose careful observation, instead of intervention, leaving monitoring devices to record their natural evolution rather than altering their path. Most choose to intervene, Asteria noted when he returned to the chamber. Their impatience costs the younger species its unique developmental path. The third scenario placed Orion in the mind of a planetary governor facing an incurable plague. The available treatment could save 90% of the infected but would cause sterility. Without it, 50% would die, but survivors would retain reproductive capabilities. After agonizing deliberation, Orion chose to present the full information to the population and establish a system where individuals could choose for themselves, while organizing the society to support either decision. Individual choice over imposed salvation, Asteria observed. Uncommon. The final scenario was the most difficult. Orion inhabited the consciousness of a being with the power to merge with a dying star, saving an inhabited system, but sacrificing their own existence. The being had a family, dreams, a future, all to be surrendered for strangers who would never know their savior's name. Feeling the being's fear and love, Orion made the sacrifice, experiencing the sensation of consciousness, dissolving into stellar energy. When he returned to the chamber for the final time, tears streamed down his face. The emotion was overwhelming. Not just the nobility of the sacrifice, but the profound love behind it. Princess Asteria approached, her expression softer than Orion had yet seen. You weep for a being dead for millennia. I weep because I felt what they felt, Orion replied. The fear, the love, the hope that it would matter. And would you have made the same choice, human? Not in simulation, but in reality? Orion considered this carefully. I hope I would have the courage, but I cannot know until faced with the moment. Honesty, Asteria said, rarer than courage. She extended her hand, revealing the heart of compassion, a crystal that pulsed with emotional energy. The trial of Heart is complete, she announced. You are the first to earn all 3 hearts. Tomorrow you face the final trial, one that has no name and no precedent, for none have reached it before. As Orion accepted the crystal, Asteria's fingers brushed his. For a brief moment he felt a connection, not telepathic or mystical, but something simpler and more profound: understanding. Rest well, Orion Frost, she said, using his name for the first time. Tomorrow, everything changes. Outside the chamber, the whispers among the Luminan court had transformed from mockery to wonder. The human had achieved the impossible, and with the final trial approaching, the galaxy held its breath. Starfall Ascension. The final trial took place at the highest point of Lumina, a platform of pure crystal that floated above the atmosphere, bathed in the direct light of the twin suns. The gathered spectators had swelled to include representatives from 100 worlds, all drawn by the unprecedented event, a human advancing to the final trial of Princess Asteria. Orion arrived alone, having refused escorts. He carried the 3 hearts: knowledge, strength, and compassion, each pulsing with energy that responded to his touch. He'd spent the night in meditation, preparing for whatever impossible challenge awaited. Princess Asteria appeared not in a flash of cosmic energy as before, but by walking onto the platform like any mortal being. Today she seemed fully physical, the universe within her temporarily contained. Her expression was solemn but held something new: anticipation. The final trial has no name, she began, her voice carrying across the assembly without technological assistance, because it is not a test of qualities but of understanding. You have proven your mind, body, and heart. Now you must show you comprehend why these trials exist at all. Orion nodded, ready for whatever came next. Place the 3 hearts in the sanctum, Asteria instructed, indicating a triangular depression at the center of the platform. As Orion arranged the crystals, they began to resonate, creating harmonics that vibrated through the very structure of Lumina. The platform beneath them transformed, revealing ancient machinery that predated the Luminan civilization itself. For 10,000 years, suitors have attempted these trials, Asteria continued. All have failed because all misunderstood their purpose. What do you believe these trials are designed to find, Orion Frost? Orion considered carefully. Not a worthy consort, he replied finally. Something else. Asteria's eyes widened slightly. Explain. These trials test qualities that complement your own, Orion said, understanding blossoming within him. The Luminans are beings of extraordinary intelligence, physical resilience, and emotional depth. You don't need a partner who duplicates these strengths. You need one who approaches them differently. A murmur ran through the crowd as Asteria's expression confirmed his insight. The hearts represent perspectives you already possess, Orion continued. What you seek isn't superiority but difference, someone who sees the universe through another lens. And what is the final trial? Asteria asked, her voice softer now. Orion looked at the machinery activating around them, the ancient technology connecting to the hearts. It's not a trial at all, he realized. It's a choice. The platform beneath them expanded, revealing a cosmic map of infinite worlds and possibilities. For millennia, I have been bound to Lumina, Asteria said, addressing not just Orion but all assembled. Not as princess but as guardian. The final trial isn't to win my hand, it's to set me free. Gasps and cries of disbelief erupted from the Luminan court. Sentinel Thandros stepped forward in protest, but Asteria silenced him with a gesture. The ancient ones who created me left this safeguard, she explained. Only one who understands the true value of perspective could release me from my duty. The trial was never about finding someone worthy of me, but someone worthy of taking my place. Orion understood at last. The hearts aren't prizes. They're keys to the guardianship. Asteria nodded, a smile transforming her features. Will you accept this duty, Orion Frost? To become the guardian of Lumina, to watch over this world and its people, to gain the lifespan and powers of a cosmic entity, but to remain bound here until another passes the trials? The choice was monumental: immortality and power in exchange for freedom. Orion looked out at the stars, at the galaxy he'd spent his life exploring, then back at Lumina, a world of beauty and wisdom that had dismissed his kind as unworthy. "I accept," he said finally, "with one condition." Asteria raised an eyebrow, surprised by this unexpected negotiation. "The trials remain open, not just to suitors but to all who wish to learn," Orion proposed. "Lumina becomes not just a protected world, but a center of exchange, where different perspectives are valued, not dismissed." For a moment, Asteria was silent. Then she laughed, the sound of stellar joy. "This is precisely why you succeeded where others failed. So be it." She stepped forward, placing her hands on either side of Orion's face. "Receive the guardianship, Orion Frost of Earth. See the universe as I have seen it." Cosmic energy transferred between them, not violently, but like water finding its level. Orion felt his consciousness expanding, connecting to Lumina itself, to the machinery of the ancients, to the very fabric of space around them. When it was complete, Asteria stood before him, diminished in power, but radiant with freedom. "What will you do now?" Orion asked, his voice resonating with new harmonics. "Explore," she said simply. "See the universe from new perspectives. Perhaps even visit this Earth that produced such an unexpected guardian." As Asteria prepared to depart on her new journey, the Luminans looked to Orion with uncertainty. "Sentinel," Thandros approached, kneeling reluctantly. "Guardian," he acknowledged. "What would you have us do?" Orion smiled, the cosmos now swirling beneath his skin. "Prepare accommodations for visitors from all worlds. Lumina's isolation ends today." As the twin suns set on a new era, Orion Frost, once a mere human explorer, now guardian of Lumina, watched the stars with new eyes, understanding at last that it was not superior strength or intelligence that the universe valued most, but the power of a different perspective.